If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. Join the Cougar Collective today, your home base for all NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes, fans, and business owners. Join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90. You can also make a one-time donation. And if you're a business, you can collaborate your brand. Also, drink the Old Crimson Legendary Lager brewed by Pike Brewing. Sales benefit the Cougar Collective. Visit cougarcollective.org. Go Cougs! Jimmy Rogers with us, new football coach at Washington State. How does that sound?
It's good. Yeah, it's different for me for sure, but it's been exciting.
What when you got past kind of the initial, like, you hired, got the job, and you kind of, because that's a whirlwind. I mean, it's because you got a family, you got other coaches, you got the families of those coaches. When it like settled down, whether that was a week, 2 weeks, a month later, we kind of caught your breath. We kind of look back on that time, just going through that exciting period. What was that like?
There's so much going on that you don't really have time to have much emotion about the transition in itself. It's, I'd be lying to say it wasn't emotional in that transition for me, of spending 19 years at a place and looking back on that and thinking, you know what, I'm not going back ever. But it's been exhilarating for me, honestly. The amount of things that need to get done in a short amount of time has been kind of a joy, honestly. But just getting to know the team and trying to figure out where we're at and maybe where we're solid at positionally and where we think that we could be needing some help or upgrade at certain positions.
I want to start at the beginning, because I'm always curious about this for guys and men and women in your positions that coach.
Yep.
Like, when was the coaching bug? When did that hit you? When did you have that first thought that, hey, when I'm done playing, this is something I'd like to do?
I never really thought about it until going into my senior year. I had changed my major so many times, and I thought about
what was the first choice? You remember?
Interdisciplinary studies, because I was planning on being a firefighter.
Okay.
So at South Dakota State, they let you pick your classes where you feel like it fits in the degree of where you're trying to go with your life, right?
Okay.
And so I took chemistry classes and biology classes and physical education classes, and I did a ride-along, and I was like, this isn't for me. And then I changed to like nutrition, then I changed to some other health deal, and I ended up with a history degree.
Okay, that's a big gap between firefighter.
But I needed something to teach, right?
Yeah.
And because I felt like if college coaching doesn't work out, I could coach at the high school level.
Yeah.
Wanted something to teach at the high school level, so I chose history. And when I finished up playing, my head coach, John Stogelmeyer, had allowed me to be a graduate assistant, or at least student coach in that spring, and then I started being a GA after that. So, yeah, that feels like forever ago. At the time, I wasn't sure if it was for me, and then when I became a graduate assistant and I got more responsibilities, I just kind of fell in love with the teaching of a player and trying to take him from where he's at, entry-level learner, to trying to be an expert at the position in which he plays. So that part for me has always been the joy. It's been about the development of a person and seeing how far you could take their talents, and even when they think that they're reaching it, taking them even further. That's a true joy for me in this.
What did you learn from John? I mean, we could probably be here for 30, 40, an hour, probably talking about all the lessons you learned from him. But is there one that stands out the most, kind of when you look back when you were playing for him and then coaching under him?
Yeah, I would just say how to treat people more than anything. I know that seems so basic, but it's the finest point to like coaching is getting through to somebody. So showing grace, being a sounding board, opening yourself up more than just football. Because for Coach, in my relationship, towards the end, it was, I shouldn't say towards the end because it's still going, but he became a mentor to me as a coach. And the last several years, he's been somebody that I've called for, not a ton, but called for his expertise or his thought process or how to handle a conversation or, but for me, he's been a sounding board, and he's been really like a rock in my life, of consistency of how he treats you. And that's what I would take away, honestly. The players felt that. The coaching staff felt that. Unique ways at times to handle certain situations, but overall, just a really good person.
Is that the biggest challenge of coaching? Because when you're coaching such a large group, especially football, you have so many different personalities that you can't coach every kid the same, right? And you've got to know how to talk to one player differently than you talk to another player.
Yeah, I think the tone when you talk to a team needs to be consistent. They need to hear a very consistent message with the same type of sternness and not be up and down emotionally to a whole team. You can't be their best friend one moment and allow things to slide just because you feel good in the moment, and then all of a sudden, when things aren't going your way, all of a sudden change the tide of who you are and the sternness in which you say it. I think if it's important all the time. But yeah, you got to get to know the players to understand what gets, how they handle the message the best. It's no different than learning how they learn. Some players can learn better in the film room. Some players can learn off the board, and some players just need reps in the walkthroughs and being out there physically. And I would say nowadays, more players do better with live walkthrough reps. It allows them to stay locked in for a longer period of time because they're moving. So we try to be integrative of how we're teaching our players and make the meetings proactive and ask them questions and make them have to move and answer questions so that they, can sustain a level of focus for however long the meeting is.
Have you seen, you always get this, back in my day, have you seen the...
Unfortunately, I probably do the same thing.
But everybody
but
does it.
I don't feel that old.
I know, but everybody does it though. And I'm just curious though, because you get this message of today's athlete is not, it doesn't work as hard, is not as dedicated, is this ability to transfer and to leave, it doesn't build, a discipline anymore or character. Do you see a difference in that, or do you still see the same like athlete nowadays that is like, I want to be coached hard. I want to be coached hard, and I don't mind somebody getting on me.
Yeah, I think a lot of it stems maybe from their upbringing, and there's no science behind this, but some parents are still really hard on their kids, and so their kids naturally are able to handle harder conversations or the tone in which you say it, maybe being more blunt to a player. Some players really thrive off of that because they need the honesty, but there's several players that just because it was done years ago doesn't mean that the players responded to it well. It was just meant that it was tolerated at that time.
Right.
And if you wanted to play, you had to stick with the team that you were with.
We're not doing Texas A&M, the Junction City, with no water.
Yeah. But the players work hard. I think nowadays there's more, as time has evolved and the evolution of coaching has evolved as well. So like the structure of how you structure the players' days and try to maximize the most amount of time that you have with them throughout the day, maybe look a little bit different. And then the science behind, injury prevention has grown. So you got to look at what you're doing, and you can't just bang your head against the wall and say you're getting better and have, guys sitting out because they're injured. So you have to be smart about how you practice, how you teach them, and how you maintain their bodies throughout the course of a year if you want to have success.
What kind of player were you? When you go back to what you were talking about, how different players learn, whether it's through reps, film, walkthroughs, what for you? What were you best at? What benefited you the most?
I don't know. I probably watching the film. I could learn it off of a piece of paper. I took a lot of pride. My position coach was Clark Lee, who's the head coach at Vanderbilt. He kind of opened my eyes to the nuances inside of the game and how to try to take your study of what you were learning off of film and diagnosing an offense and trying to find out percentages and tendencies. He's the one that took my mind to that level, and I became addicted to that. Hell, in college, I'd make my own scouting reports outside of the coaches' scouting reports.
Would you share them with the coaches?
Oh, I shared them with the players. Yeah.
Before the coaches? Or?
A lot of times, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, it was just like trying to find an edge because I wasn't the most talented player. I wasn't at all. I was probably one of the slower players, and I knew if I can consistently make plays that they couldn't take me off the field. And when you're undersized or undermanned in any way, you feel like you can't let people take what you're good at, right, away from you, which was for me, it was understanding football, knowing what I was supposed to do, a part of a defense, and then trying to play my best all the time and out-hustle people. So I think there's many ways to have success. Every player's got to find what they're great at and try to maximize that and limit, the errors or their deficiencies inside of their game.
Being undermanned and being undersized, and I would assume that was the kind of in college. Was that high school too?
Yeah, for the most part.
Was that how much going through that? How has that helped you as a coach today?
I don't know. I think it's like a persona in which you take on, right? You find a way to work, and you find a way to overcome, and you find a way to be consistent, and it's always on your mind because you always feel like someone's gonna beat you or take your spot, and it's just kind of who I am, and it's how I've grown up. I feel I work that way probably still. I try to be good with the hours and organize my life, but when you feel like you're always behind, right?
Yeah.
That's maybe the feeling that I have most of the day. You're always behind. I'm behind in recruiting. Got to find a way to catch up. Got to find a way to do it better. I don't know. Maybe that's what fuels me too, is trying to get out ahead.
I don't know how you guys do it all in one day. I don't. I mean, there's so much being a football coach in college that you guys have to do. I mean, it's not recruiting, but it's coaching, but it's the recruiting, and now the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I mean, that has got to be one of the biggest challenges. It's just maintaining the time and carving out enough time for your coaches, for you, but then also for your family as well.
Yeah. I think recruiting never stops.
Yeah.
You got to make time inside of your day to either be evaluating film, to seeing where players, but also connecting with those players, whether it be social media or right now phone calls, and trying to get to know them. You got to recruit your current team.
Yeah.
Constantly. That's maybe the most important, that they know that you care about them, because if you're not talking to them, unfortunately, probably somebody is illegally, right? And then you got to find a way to consistently get better as a coach. And that's analyzing your film, that's analyzing somebody else's film, and then there's that time in which you need to teach your players.
How do you balance this? I talked to your two coordinators about a month ago, and I asked them this question. I'm curious what your answer is to. I'm sure it's going to be something similar to what they said. If it's not, then maybe we're looking for new coordinators, Jimmy. But how do you balance? And this is not just unique to you. This is unique to every coach, new coach that comes into a program. There's going to be the players from the previous program, and then guys that you bring in that you're from your own. Yeah. How do you meld the two to make sure there aren't fractions? There isn't the South Dakota State camp, the Washington State camp.
Yep.
Is that? I mean, I would assume that is a concern coming in, because it naturally can happen. How do you try to avoid that?
That was a concern for me, just the amount of players that wanted to come from where I was just at, and how that would be perceived by the current team. And I was sensitive to that. But at the same time, they were so welcoming to our players. I feel like these guys that are here are the right players that want to be at Washington State and represent it, and they want to win. And if they feel like the new coaching staff coming in I'm bringing in players to help us. This isn't the YMCA where everybody gets a participation medal. These players will help us. I was confident in that move, and they'll have an opportunity to compete. And those players that I brought know if they're not as good as what is here, they won't play, Yeah, that was the same message. I've never guaranteed anybody playing time ever in my entire career. They got to earn it, and the best players play, and they'll be treated as they treat the team, which means follow through with your word too and give us your best. And if you're a player, you're a player.
Were you nervous in the first team meeting?
I wouldn't say nervous. I would say was kind of trying to figure it out. It was a little unique too. I got here. We were going to have a team meeting. This player's still in the portal. School's not really back yet. Yeah. So the weather affected one of the days that we were going to meet. And there's players still coming in on official visits that are, transferring in. Just kind of a unique time. But when we got all the team in place, I don't think any of it has been concerning or alarming or unique at all. The current team has done a great job as far as accepting those that are new.
Good. A few more things for you, and then we'll rapid fire here at the end. The current climate of the team, did anything, when you walked into it, what was a surprise, like a good surprise, when you walked in and met with the players that have been here?
Yeah, they like to work. Yeah, they're always in this building. They're always trying to find a way to get better. They're okay with doing things in the morning and then coming back to get extras in. And then the overall just spirit of the team of connection was really strong. I do think Jake has done an unbelievable job as far as finding the right type of kid to come into this program that wants to do it at a higher level, wants to go to the NFL, and is willing to somewhat follow through with it. So yeah, I think the culture was good in which I walked into, and I feel like I added to it with some of the players that we were able to take out of the portal.
Okay, away from football. There's got to be a hobby. There's got to be something. I don't know. Maybe you're caught up in the pickleball phase and craze. I don't know. There's got to be something to get your mind off of football that you like to do.
Honestly, I just spend time with my family, my kids.
And they are how old?
5 and 7. My daughter's 7. Her name is Reese. My son is 5.
Okay.
Named Trace.
All right.
They want to be here.
Well, yeah, of course they do.
Yeah.
It's fun to be around all the players.
No, I mean, every time, like, they've come up twice, and they were just up 2 weekends ago now, or last weekend.
Okay.
That's what my son, let's go to the office.
Yeah,
let's go to the office. That's what he wanted to do.
Okay.
But it'll be good to get all of our families situated. We're all still not up here yet as far as our coaches' wives and their kids. But this is a large group of young coaches that have a young family. I bet you there's close to 25 to 30 kids under the age of 9.
Wow.
You know, and there's some outside of the 9 range, but usually my kids are kind of on the older edge. My daughter's on the older edge. It's being at 7, so it's a fun time when we come together.
You got a chance to start maybe like an early, AAU basketball team, like 7 or 8.
We got a lot of girls. We got a lot of girls.
Perfect. That's good too.
We may start a hoops team.
Yeah,
maybe
you
a traveling team.
You've got a lot of praise online for something you probably have no idea what I'm about to ask. Okay. And we do it differently. And we're sitting here. Is how you wear your hat. Have you heard that?
No.
You're old school. You really bend the hat because everybody is more of the flat. You've gone old school. Like, how long does it take you to really get that crease in that thing?
I don't know.
I
don't really think about it. It's maybe more of a habit doing it since I was little.
Yeah. A lot of people love it.
Yeah.
People absolutely love it. All right, last thing for you. Win or lose on Saturdays. What do you want the opposing team, coaches, players to say about playing Washington State?
Yeah, that those guys were tough. It's funny that you asked that. I had my defense coordinator, the one I played for, and then the one that gave me the opportunity to start coaching with him on defense. I was able to sit in on a lot of interviews of coaches that were coming in and going at South Dakota State, and he had asked the interviewee that same question: "What do you want your defense to be known for?" And the guy kind of caught him off guard. He was trying to figure out exactly what the defense coordinator that was interviewing at the time wanted from him. And I'll never forget that. He asked him, well, what do you think? And my coach said, toughness. And we've kind of ran on that. That's what we've embodied. That's, where I was just last at. And I think that is the separator when you take a player, regardless of his talent level. You find a tough kid that is willing to put in the work and willing to go out there and be physical and grind people out. You can win a lot of football games like that. And so when teams play us, I want them to see our defense flying around and our offense striking and finishing plays. And we're gonna win being physical and being tough. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to start on Saturday and just watch them compete. We're not in pads for the first 2 practices, but after that, we're going to get to see who's really about this.
Jimmy, thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.